Right. I have returned from the port to Gar. So, here we go. Oh, big stretching. Oh, get the chief rowing. My bars! My bars are not placed correctly on the stool. Alright, you marvelous monkey, you. Let's do this. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Ah, my spider knows it's a timer for the goo. Oh. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo. It's painting goo. Let's fucking goo. What we goo? Nobody knew. Painting goo. Where will we go? What will we go? Oh, sip, sip. Oh, glorious Java. Painting goo 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 goo. My voice broke there for a bit. I hope nobody knew. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo. It's painting goo. What will we go? Nobody knew what we go. Not even me know what we go on painting goo. Oh, I've had way too much coffee. I'm sweating goo. The only way to drink coffee live on the interwebs is with intense slurpage. Get that ASMR into you. Oh god. Oh, my chi is flowing like rusty milk. Painting goo goo goo. Painting fucking goo. Let's painting goo. Painting goo. What will we go? Nobody knew. On painting goo. Where will we go? Painting goo. Painting goo. Painting goo. Nobody knew! What do we go? Where we go? What the fuck? That's it. You petrified primate! Bring it home! Remind these people! 30 mortars! The meaning of beauty! Painting goo. Painting goo. It's a painting goo! Oh, glorious! Oh, right, my cheese frog. Right! If you've been watching Painting Goo, which means you have honor, you know the drill! Pay the fucking monkey, because I do not. Welcome-oo! And glorious welcome-oo, indeed-oo, on a gloriously bright day to Painting Goo. I just spat all over the laptop. I need to trim the mustache. It is changing from a mustache to a mop. I have a mop stash. That is what I have. I like it. It allows me to get extra sips from my coffee. You sip, and then you suck. You sip and suck. You suck all the excess out of your mustache. It's like one of them frying pans you don't wash, you know? You have your own unique taste. Desmond, who knows exactly what I'm talking about. You can't have a beard that's this epic and not know what what your own face tastes like. Right, I have returned. A moment, whilst I descend into proper paintingu posture. Where's my thingy? Where's it? There it is. Ah, the stew is gloriously smooth today, and my gloriously froppy. It's a bit lopsided. Is it just me, or is my gloriously froppy top knot very? There we go. Now we're back in Looney Tunes, pink hair, fucking shit. I need to fix the framing on this crap. You know. How are we rooking? It's been a wrong time. It has been a wrong time. I spent over a week in Portugal. It was glorious. Glorious food, way too much alcohol, and Coca-Cola. I have literally had enough Coke and rum to kill a polar bear. I'm not kidding. I don't know how I am still alive. Oh yes, I'm half divine. Yes, of course. Being a demigod, I cannot be killed by any mere mortar syrup, liqueur, or any foreign liquids. Yes, despite my mortar side's greatest efforts, I remain alive and well. And recovering from nigh on at least 5 days in a row of utter debauchery. I.e., drinking too much and praying lots of pool. And indulging in some karaoke. A brief moment of gayness as I sang Ain't No Mountain High Enough with the female. It was hilarious. I really got my brack on. Ain't no mountain high enough. It was hilarious. Plenty of rum, plenty of coke, plenty of singing. We have various photos, videos that I may share in the PEINTEINGU Telegram for those of you who are honorable and loyal to the channel. The rest of you can fuck off, and all you get is the 2 or 3 or 4, sometimes 5 hours of free entertainment here on the Tube of Jew. Only my most royal fans. And those of you who may wander in and out of... Is it a private chat on Telegram? I can't remember. I have had way too much coffee. My mind is racing. I have forgotten much. I forgot where we were. I forgot that we have landed in Cuba, and we are painting Pablo Escobar's former domicile. Bless him. It looks beautiful, does it not? A bit brutalistic for the middle of the Rattan jungle, but to each his own, I suppose. I mean, can you really be aesthetically literate when you're also a insanely good drug trafficker? You can only excel at so many things, you know. Asking Pablo here to have a better taste in architectures, perhaps asking a bit too much of one man, you know. Right. Who is here? Who has shown up after 8 days of my absence? Who is craving the goo? Ah! Margie, of course, one of my most royal fans, Margie. Margie seems to be the only one who has literally signed up to a monthly scheme. I don't even have a subscription or a membership or any of that shit. But the old lady from Tennessee has somehow managed to just rip me a fiver. It's like Margie has become my grandmother. At the end of every month, she just slips me a fiver. Don't tell your father. Stubber-Usama, of course he's going to show up. If he didn't, he'd have to commit seppuku. Desmondu, of course. I see 4 viewers and only 3 names. Is that you, Maxed Out Beru? Or Ian Gananu, one of you, lurking in the background, unable to type because you're crushing at some task. Stabaru-sama and Desmondo-sama can be in the chat constantly. And Crush. Because they are true legends. It takes some skill to be able to drive around a warehouse in a forklift and tell everybody to remind everybody constantly to Riker and subscriber to PEINTEINGU if you have any honor. Which reminds me, Garros, my friend. Perhaps I've been a bit harsh on you. My friend Garros here. For those of you who do not know, for those of you who have forgotten, Myro the monkey is not the only animal here on PEINTEINGU. The PEINTEINGU posse contains many animals, one of which is our gloriously flamboyant tiger here, Garros. Garros cocaina. You can imagine that it's not a very imaginative name. Let's say that at least. I found him in Colombia? Cuba? Colombia? I think it was Colombia. He was force-fed so much cocaine by a Colombian drug lord. That is the story, yes. That he developed X-ray vision. Hence the bucket and sunglasses. They repair. It's like Magneto, you know? They constrict, confine, reduce, bind his X-ray powers. I have recently, before my holiday, given Garros a lot of shit. I was very harsh. But it's because you're seemingly, just happenstance out of nowhere, just... What's the word I'm looking for? Spontaneous replacement is a fucking Canadian. God damn it, Garros. I mean, it's just embarrassing, being replaced by a maple-ricking fucking forklift driving faggot. Oh, it's just... You insult yourself and your ancestors, Garros. Such a powerful animal, the tiger. To be outdone. Not only are you a tiger, you have X-ray vision. And clearly can take a fuckload of coke. And to be replaced by a Canadian is just such a shame. But I have forgiven you. My time in the port to Gore has given me much time to reflect. Much time to reflect. Whilst I was sitting... Whilst I was lying comfortably in approximately 17 to 18 degrees Celsius in a definitely not 4-star hotel, those lying bastards. 4 stars on the door. Ha! You're kidding. I found a cockroach. 4 stars, my horror. Anyway, I was watching the Trump's inauguration. Hilarious. Is it Barron Trump? Is that fucker's name? Trump's son is fucking huge. It's like the tallest guy in the room. It's fucking hilarious. But anyway. We had a glorious time. Excellent food. Too much alcohol. All that jazz. Made some friends. Hilarious times. Played a lot of pool. Some good shit. I love pool. Pool is a glorious gamer. A fine gamer. Requires tact. Strategy. Discipline. A gentle touch, but a firm touch. It's a gentleman's game. That's pool. Well, I suppose pool is more of a bar srop. Dive bar game. Which I also love. I mean, I used to go to Fibbers. Fibber McGee's. The smell of piss in the men's and ladies' bathrooms. The smell of leather, fake leather, and metal studs. It's like, there's something about rock bars. They're just like... There's something about a rock bar when you go in, you're like... Piss and Jaeger! Glorious! I love it. I love it! Almost as much as I love caffeine. My sleep pattern has been forced back into normality by my sheer willpower alone. I was up at 8ish this morning. Despite when I returned, I think I stayed up for like a whole 16 more hours or some shit. It was ridiculous. Time started to blend. Oh, God, my brain. You know when you're running on fumes and things start to taste metallic? We'll get back. We'll get back. As I was saying in the PEINTEINGU Telegram, my secret, super duper secret OnlyFans Telegram chat, that it is going to take me a week to recover from my holiday. That is how an Irishman goes on holiday. If you go on holiday and you come back rested, hydrated, looking healthier, with like a tan and bright eyes, you're a faggot because you've indulged. You've been pampered. How funny is that? That like, my culture is like, you know, if you went and got a massage and a tan, even a natural one on the beach, like, you know what I mean? Say, look at this queer. But I went and fucking played pool and got hammered every day. like a real man. Like, oh God. It was fucking wild coming home. Stayed up all night. Like, just because we're stupid. And then, I don't know what time, but we had to check out at 10. Fucking 10 a.m. Like, I was like doing gong in the room and all, like trying to stay awake and all, stretching and shit. Like, it's so much alcohol in my system. And I wasn't like, there wasn't a single time where I got sick. I think it was one time where I felt slightly nauseous, and it was when I was like 4 bites into a fucking chicken kebab at like 5 in the morning. I'm telling you, they must pump, like I was saying it to the female, I think they pump oxygen into those bars. We were in this place called the Fabulous Legends Bar. I was some gay to pay away for that one. But it was fucking, like, it wasn't like a gay bar or anything, like, it was just like it was like a kind of an Irish rock bar kind of thing. And it was just like fabulous. I was like, what the fuck? It looked like, you know, the Vegas thing. But anyway, they did like awesome, like, you know, tricks and stuff. Like, they were like flipping bottles and like then filling glasses, multiple glasses up, and then like, you know, filling them up and then fucking like tipping it over into like, you know, where all the glasses are bent but they're still like held together and shit. He like pours like 10 shots in a row. And ridiculously expensive drinks, like $9.50 a drink, like, but it's because like you're not just paying for the drinks, you're paying for like the fact that they're putting on a show the whole time because they're constantly handing out the free shots. It's cool, like it's a cool experience. It's not like every other place that like it was kicking at some point, like, and the whole front of it is like open out to the street, so like people are just like walking in, walking out, and like the smoking area is basically the entrance. So there's this huge collection of people at the entrance, and then there's just this flow of people like coming into the bar, going around and like going back out and all this shit. Dance area over there, like, it's crazy. And it was fucking like, you know, those moments where you're like, oh God, like, you know, but at least it's not like there was any kids around, like, because it's like a fucking bar, like, you know, the people drinking and shit, like, but they had like a dildo on a drill, and one of them stuck it to the ceiling and shit, like, and I was just like, female looked at me, I was like, oh my God. And started laughing all, like, you just see me going like, oh, like rolling my eyes and shit, like, but it was funny, like, it was pretty funny. There was this fucking, there was this picture in the men's toilets that made me laugh my head off. It really did, like, when I saw it, like, so like, it wasn't like an over, like, there wasn't like fake tits everywhere or some shit, you know, it wasn't like you walked into a sex shop / bar, but there was just this kind of like slightly adult theme about the place. Like, you know, there wasn't like a load of naked women everywhere, like, it was like a touch of naughty which kind of went with the vibe, like, do you know what I mean? Like, because like it didn't make me go like, oh fuck, let's get out of here, this is a bit fucked up, like, it just made me laugh, which I think is the intention, like, you know. But anyway, when I first time I went to take a piss, I went up to the urinal, like, you know, and then I just, like, you know the way you just, like, I just start looking around, like, instead of just like staring at the wall, like I'm fucking at attention or something, like. And I looked to my right, and there's just this massive picture of like these three women. They look like they're wearing football jerseys or something, like. And it's like, oh, I can't even remember what it says now. Oh, something about guys having small dicks. But one of them has this little trophy. And it was seriously the smallest erect penis I'd ever seen in my life. And it was like cast in bronze on a little like stand thing. You know, I just like walk in and like, oh, start draining the dragon, and then I just like look, like there was no one else taking a piss, like, you know, so it's just me on my own in this thing, and I look right and I see this thing. I started crying laughing. I was fucking hilarious. I had some crack, like, we ended up meeting this old couple, like, I say old couple, like, your man's in his 60s and she's in her 50s or something, like, they fucking don't go on like they're old, I tell you that much, like, your man was from Australia, the other one's from Cork here in Ireland, like, and we, like, met them on a night out when we went doing karaoke, it was great, and then the following day, met back up with them, went to a beach bar, and I was just like, your man's real funny, like, he's like into the stock market and all, like, seems to really know his shit. It's awesome meeting people that are just like cool to hang around with, like, you know, real like genuine, just natural interactions, like, but at the same time, like, looking around at all the like fake and like crazy people, like, there's some fucking crazy people there, like, you know, like weirdos hanging around at the bars all hours and all, like, you know, dudes that just stand there looking like like, what we call them, fucking scaldy. Well, how, like, like really disheveled, like, do you know what I mean, kind of like homeless drug addict, like, you know, fucking your atypical homeless drug addict, like scaldy fuckers, like. And like you can see the fumes of debauchery and degeneration coming off them, like, do you know what I mean, just standing there having a cigarette, but like, it's their posture and their vibe, like, do you know what I mean, like, they actually do look like they smell bad, like, it's like you can see the stink coming off them, it's weird, like, there's a few of them hanging around, like, you know, but especially in a tourist spot location, but like most of like the shop owners, hotel staff, like, you know, random people he came across, like, we're in this place called Albufeira. Somebody has a paid for PEINTEINGU, and I haven't even PEINTEINGU'd yet. That's how good I am. Where are we? Iron Man Buru! Welcome. Sup G? That's hilarious. 12 days ago, 2 Acre and D-Bear. Sup G. And now, a few seconds ago, 2 Acre and D-Bear. Sup G. Oh, this one had a question mark on it. 2 Acre in the Bureau. Welcome to PEINTEINGU. How have you been, brother? Did you miss me? I missed you, lot. I miss doing this. Fucking hell. 8 days of just like it was great, you know, but like coming home was torture, absolute torture. Fucking, what do what you call it? Fucking I only said it earlier on. Check out, not clock out. Fucking checked out at the hotel at 10 a.m. Sorry, 10 a.m. I fucking wish it was 10 p.m. And then, like, you know, you've got, like, nowhere to go or do or on. You just leave your luggage in the luggage area. Like, so I was like, fuck this. And I just, like, basically fell asleep in the lobby for, like, I don't know how long. At least, like, an hour or two or some shit like that. And then we went and got breakfast. Like, just these, like, big, you know, extravagant looking sofas in the lobby. And I'm just like... Just imagine all these people coming in. Some ginger lad over in the corner asleep, like... Just like a neon sign above me head that says Irish on holiday. Like, oh, it's brutal. Like, absolutely brutal. But it was great. The food there is absolutely fantastic. For the most part. You know, like we got fucking we were in Aldi over there, which is weird. It's like not the same at all. The vibe off it is like totally different because you expect it to be the same because it's a brand, like, do you know what I mean? But even like it's weird seeing a brand look different in a different country. It's weird. It's not because like you pick up a bottle of Coke anywhere and it's the same, or at least it looks the same. I know like in America it's full of like fucking was it what's that shit called? Is it fucking not fruit? What's that syrupy shit? You guys don't put sugar in it. You guys put something else in it. There's a fucking I can't remember the name of it. I'm having a brain fart. Owen on Twitter. God is like a black dad. He loves you. You'll just never see him. That's hilarious. That's actually gas. Oh man, I'm catching up on streams. Like fucking a whole week of streams to catch up on. Like I think that's been like since I started watching Owen, I think this has been the first time where I haven't watched a stream in like a whole week. So I have like all these streams to catch up on. And I'm on the one halfway through the one where he's talking about the beach. He's doing the review of the beach. And I'm about halfway through that. And it was funny because it came up on my phone that he's not doing a stream today. And part of me was like, yes, because like I'm still catching up. Because I hate that. I hate being behind the flow. I'm like a fucking salmon. I like to be like at the front, like, you know, fucking going along with shit and all, like. But it's nice sometimes to like sit back and like dip out and watch everything pass you, and then just like catch up with it and shit, like you know, fucking just sitting like I can't remember the last time I watched the news. Do you know what I mean? Like lying on a bed in a hotel room in Portugal, watching CNN, and it's just like this is hilarious. Like, do you know what I mean? Like I'm so detached from that vibe for so long. And I got a little bit of it because I was like doing a very normie thing of like, you know, going to Portugal for a week and just like going out drinking, you know, like every day. Like all we did was go to restaurants and then go drinking and then chill out in the room. And it was great. It was fucking awesome. I had a great time. Like the female had a great time. She got to wear like, you know, her beautiful dresses that she bought on Shein and all. Like, you know, she was like typical female stuff. She was like taking photos of the food and all that shit. She fucking loved it. Absolutely great experience. Like coming home was brutal. Two of us were in foul humors. Just because we were exhausted. Like it's absolutely brutal. Like, but it was so good. I didn't feel like I needed it. Do you know what I mean? Like I didn't even want to go on a holiday originally when she planned it. When she was like, you know, oh, I want to go on a holiday. Like, let's go to Portugal in January. I was like, why? Why do you want to go on a holiday at the start of a year? Like, you know what I mean? That's just seems, it's like not my vibe at all. Like, I wanted to get like into a routine and like, you know, keep PEINTEINGU going and like sort my head out in terms of like doing my other art in the background, the symmetrical shit and all. So spending 8 days in a foreign country, I was like, what? No, it's gonna like totally throw my vibe off. But it didn't at all. Like I'm back. I'm like, apart from being exhausted, I'm so glad to be back. But I had a great time, and I'm like filled with like a different energy right now, because like I didn't draw at all really. The last time I drew anything, last time I sketched anything, was like on the plane on the way there. I was doing some like half-ass symmetrical sketch shit on the plane. I'm fucking addicted to these travel sweet things. They've got like vitamins in them or whatever, and there's like loads of sugar in them. Like, and there's these big boiled sugar sweets that you suck on. Because like I don't get it real bad, and I don't really get it like when we're going up, but when you're landing on a plane, my fucking left ear is like It's like somebody was pushing air through a fucking water-filled tube or some shit, like, which is probably kind of what's going on back there. But I could just hear all this, like, you know, like all this shit. Like my ear was starting to get sore, and I was like, oh, what the fuck, like. But I don't get it like real bad, like. But that does help, you know. People are always saying that, like, oh, wear these like magnet things if you get nauseous and all that. None of that shit works for me. I don't get travel sick either. The only time I get like any kind of travel sickness is when if I don't eat, and then I like get in a car or something, start driving around for a while, I start to feel a bit shit. But if I have like a sandwich before I start traveling, I'm fine. I've been on boats, don't get seasick. I get a bit like, ooh, you know, like, and I can imagine like if I had a few too many drinks or some shit, like I'd probably feel a bit fucked up. But like that's probably like, I can imagine most people would feel like that, like, you know. But generally, I don't get like travel sickness or whatever. Like, but I seriously got addicted to these fucking sweets, man. They're so good. Like, it was just, like, it's like, oh, we're taking off. Oh, I'll just pop one of these in just in case. And sucking on it, like fucking drawing away, like, you know. And didn't really get anything on the way up, like, you know. And then when we're landing, I was like, but like it was hilarious because like I thought I timed it well both times, and I didn't time it well at all both times. I ended up having like 3 or 4 of them. Because you're supposed to just have the one while it's ascending and descending, you know, to like alleviate the pressure pain or whatever. Like, I like popped 2 of them before like the plane's moving, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I'm like sucking away on the thing. And the plane doesn't take off for another 10 minutes. I just thought it was hilarious how badly timed it was. Like, oh fuck. Did you awaken with posterior pain? If so, you have K to pay away. Rock bars and biker bars are a hell of a trip. Oh man, like, yeah, like rock. That's why I loved Fibbers. Fibbers was like proper rock bar. Fibber McGee's in the city centre in Dublin. It's just off O'Connell Street. It's been there for years, and it's like it's a proper dive bar. Like it's not a shithole. It probably was at some point, but it's never been like a proper shithole when I've gone there. It's just like a bit of a dive, just a little bit, you know. Like, but it was a great place. Like, always great energy. It was always packed. Smoking area was always packed, and like that's where the buzz was. Like, you'd always got like if you heard like, you know, Rob Zombie's Dragula, or like one of the Metallica songs, or like it's funny because like it's like I'm so niche, it's hilarious. Like, even when it came to metal, I wasn't like ever like super big into any of the mainstream shit. Like, people are like Metallica, like I did love Slipknot at one stage and I knew most of their songs, but even like hardcore fans of anything would know way more about the shit than I would. Like, do you know what I mean? I've said this before because like I don't like, because like look at me, like, you know, some people would watch the stream and be like, I'm assuming he can speak a bit of Japanese and like owns a katana, like, you know, and probably has some like DVD collections of anime and shit. Like, nope. I had none of that. Like, I've tried to watch Attack on Titan 3 times now and I just keep getting bored, even though I really like it. And when I sit down and I watch it, I'm like, this is deadly. I love the art, I love the tone, you know, like the idea, like, you know, some of the things they do, like artistically, just like in the show, in terms of like how they show stuff, like how they illustrate things artistically is like really cool. But it's one of those things where if there's too many episodes of something, or if it doesn't really hook me in, then I just kind of drop off, like, you know. And maybe it's fucking ADHD. I don't believe in any of that shit though. Like, but it's like there definitely is something to be said of like attention span or something. But like, I don't have a bad attention span with shit that I like. Do you know what I mean? Like, in the last 2 weeks, there has been several nights. Well, I say the last 3 weeks because last week I was in Portugal, obviously, so I wasn't doing this. But I've recently got back into the video game Days Gone, the zombie shooter where you're playing as a biker dude who lost his missus. Fucking obsessed with the challenge mode, where it's just like survive the horde as long as possible, and they give you like a loadout with various weapons, and there's like weapons and items strewn about the map, and you're just in this like, you're in this town that it has like a circular architecture to the road. So it's basically just a little ring town with, I'd say, about 20 buildings maybe. And there's like, you know, there's like a town hall, you know, like a big like court looking building. There's like, you know, a restaurant, just the usual shit. There's a garage on the outside of it and stuff. It's literally just this I think it's called Sherman's Camp or some shit it's called. And you just, there's a road going in, and then it splits into two, and they both go around this little town area, and you're just spawned in the middle of this thing in like it's not a pagoda, what are they called, fucking just like a little, like a, that's not a plinth, no, what's the word I'm looking for, they're like, it's just like a little covering. You'd see them in parks and shit, you know, like a fucking, like a permanent tent. Like a gazebo, is that what I'm looking? I think, yeah, it's basically a gazebo, like a permanent gazebo, one of those little wooden things. Like, and you spawn in that, and it's nearly like the center of the town, and the zombies just start coming, and they don't stop. The challenge is basically to just get the highest score possible, like, you know. And I think it's always funny when you look at the leaderboards and there's people who have clearly cheated. You know, it's like, their score is like 6 billion or something. It's like, come on, fucking losers. But No Mess stayed there for like, I think at least one night I stayed there for like until 9 o'clock in the morning, just doing the same challenge like again and again and again. It just like, and like I wasn't moving on to the other challenges where you could get like, you could unlock more abilities that made all of the challenges easier because you could level up your character and your upgrades and all. No, I was just on the force challenge. That's the force challenge. Survive as long as possible. And I was just like, not even trying to get the gold. Like, I was trying to just like do it my way of like, I'm just obsessed with it now of like, do I go left and then do this, or do I go right? And then, like, you know, what route do I take? Do I double back on myself when the fourth horde comes out? Like, there's just so many variables, so many ways you can do it, so many like applicable strategies and stuff like that you can like fine tune and shit. And I get so into shit like that where I will just sit there for fucking hours, just tea, cigarettes, biscuits, like shooting zombies. So it's not like I have a short attention span, you know, but it's just over the years I've like almost like tailored my tastes to just very particular things, like, you know, like there's only certain animes I like, there's only certain TV shows I like, there's only certain movies I like, there's only certain music I like, you know, like, but it's not particular genres, you know, because like not all anime is Japanese, you know. I like weird shit, like, you know, which I suppose is like self-evident by the fucking stream, like, you know, but whatever. And now I'm rambling. Yeah, I did not awaken with posterior pain. I did awaken with an insane creak in my neck one of the nights, and I still have it. It was actually really bad there when we got back. My whole right trap was just like locked. I could, but it was extremely difficult and painful to just look over my right shoulder. So whatever way I slept one of the nights in the bed, like, I think I like slept wrong on my shoulder or some shit. I woke up with a fucking severe creak in my neck, and I was like, remember the old Batman costumes where he couldn't turn his neck? Hey, Bruce, yes. Like, as I kept saying to the female, I was like, I feel like Batman, and like, I don't think she got the reference, which just made it funnier. She kind of looked at me like, what? Like, what do you mean you feel like Batman? You're not a billionaire. Like, how dare you? Take it back. I am not a maple monkey, I'm not a maple monkey, etc. But never shall I be a rainbow frag wearing fraggart. Fraggart. Oh god. I think speaking Japu has gotten out of hand sometimes. The rules of speaking. I need to write them down. Everything. Put a U on the end of most things. I suppose that's the only rule. Oh yeah, replacing all the L's with R's. We should probably write it down. A well-seasoned beard is a glorious thing. Yeah, a proper beard is well seasoned. Yeah, it's hilarious. Like, and that's what it's so funny because like a proper, like, you know, your average female would be like, eh, and all, like. It's like when I burp, you know, like, and it's like, bacon. It's a man thing. Dick Fordu, welcome. I hate watching live if I'm behind. I still do, but it's better to be current. Tough though with so many hours. Yeah, like I never catch on live. I never catch on live, and I'd love to. It is awesome, like catching them live and being in the chat and all. Like, and every once in a blue moon, it like lines up, and I'm like, oh, cool, and I can like sit there and get involved in the chat and watch them live and all. Like, and it is a cool experience. But like, you know, fucking the opposite sides of the pond and all that shit, like it's fucking pain in the ass. That's what I think is hilarious, because I do this shit at 3 o'clock in the fucking day, which is like, you know, the afternoon hump for most people here. But I'm basically like your guys' morning TV show, like morning radio station, which I love. I think that's hilarious. Like, how funny is it that like I have a painting stream that a lot of people listen to? Like, that's just like, I think I remember seeing Finkspear react to that. Like, Finkspear was like a painting stream that, like, that's an audio thing. Like, that's just hilarious. Oh, so funny. You ever just look down and see your hand is bleeding profusely? Well, what the fuck? Did you like? Are you being real? Did you just have like a work-related accident? You ever just look down and see your hand bleeding profusely? Have I? Well, it wasn't my hand. It was my forearm. But yeah, I suppose that has happened. Like, you look down and you're like, oh shit, that's a lot worse than I thought it was. You first have to have attention to be at a deficit or disorder. That's like, that's what I mean. It's like, it's only specific things like that. I think that's why I'm starting to like punish myself for not being so like disciplined and having a good routine with my other art, the symmetricals and stuff. Because like when I lock into one of them, like, oh fucking, it's like I'm brainwashing myself. Like, you know, that. Like I say, like it's not just an artist thing; it's a flow state thing. Like, you know, you can get it as a mechanic, a blacksmith. Like, when you're working with your hands, I'd say some people get it. Well, if I can get it sometimes when I'm playing a video game, then I'd say some people can get it like reading or something. Like, there's people out there who can get into a flow state doing mad shit, or like, you know, a flow state doing something that you wouldn't initially think that you could attain a flow state in. So like, because like you would think that reading would be too boring to get into a flow state in, but like, yeah, not the case. It just depends on the person. But when I'm drawing the symmetricals, bacon and eggs, when I'm drawing out the symmetricals, and then I have the first half of it, and I'm satisfied with what I've drawn, and I'm gonna go, right, that's what I'm gonna trace and flip, and then that's gonna be the image. That process of the drawing one half of it and then tracing that and then flipping it, lining it up, and then making sure that I've done the, you know, you want to go in with a really dark, heavy pencil or an ink, you know, like a big pen, like a ballpoint pen or something, so that you can get the transfer when you flip it, or you can just get transfer paper. You know, you can just, that's totally an option. Like, I haven't done that. I just do the old school thing of like doing it on tracing paper with really dark pencil, and then like going flipping it and going over it again. You get the transfer. And then you have to like the sometimes if you do it right, the transfer can be good enough that you're just left with the full image, and it works. Most of the time, though, what I end up doing is I end up tracing the whole thing again, the completed image. I end up tracing the whole thing as a completed image again, and then having the transfer from that and putting it on a canvas or a board or whatever. And it's just such a, I don't know how to describe it. I don't what word to use. Enthralling, maybe, because that's like kind of hypnotic. Like you just totally zone out, especially like when you're listening to music or something. Like, just there's no real thought in what you're doing. And I know it could be different. Like, it's not that there's no thought, because like sometimes I'm doing it and I'm designing a character or something like. But I think that's why I like the symmetrical so much, is because those in particular provide me with an opportunity to just just create. You just create. There is no plan. There is no desire or need for, well, if I'm going to design them this way, is it going to be a duck? Is it going to be like, it's like there's all these infinite possibilities, but when you're designing something for a specific purpose or for a specific reason, that's where like choice paralysis sets in, because you're like, oh, well, it can be anything. Okay, well, what's it going to be? And then your brain starts like going into overdrive of like, oh, and then you have to like make it fit, make it cohesive. Like you could start designing a character and then add something and be like, oh, I don't like it now. And then you take that back off and you're like, okay, it looks good, but he still needs something. It's all this trial and error. Like, but with the symmetricals, the only trial and error is when you're not satisfied with a shape or a line or something. Like, do you know what I mean? It's not the same. It's just about the flow of the form, which I think is like a really raw artist thing. I think that cuts to the core of what being an artist is. That's why like I have really profound admiration for carvers. Guys who work with like marble and shit, where like you could one fuck up and weeks or months of delicate and precise and well thought out and like years of training and all this fucking shit, like, and you get one slip and just like crack and the whole thing's fucked. Like, and you got these like I've seen this one guy that I follow on Instagram. And he's not just a carver, he's like an incredible painter as well. He uses like airbrushing and scalpels to like airbrush stencils into place, and then he like uses the scalpel to remove some of the paint, which is how he creates the light, because he like just takes it off so it's white again. Fucking incredible shit. Meticulous isn't the word, like meticulous to an insane degree. If there's a word that means incredibly meticulous, that's the fucking word for this nigga. Like, he's just so, the time consuming like laborious amount of fucking focus that this guy has is kind of intimidating. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like almost like what I would describe as like serial killer vibes. Like, do you know? Like, that's what I like. I think some levels of dedication to some forms of art are a bit creepy, where I'm kind of like, dude, do you never like watch TV or something? Like, and they don't, like, do you know what I mean? Like, and it's not that I think these people are like, well, no, I do think these people are weird, but it's not like a bad weird. It's just weird because like I wouldn't be, not that I wouldn't be able, sure, if I tried it or something, but it's like, it's jarring to me where I see someone who's so like just independent in all ways, like, in the sense of like just on this stream of thought that like 10 people are on. Like, it's like, forget cult, these guys are like just so nuanced, and then when you find them you're just like, holy shit, like, this guy's been doing this one thing for fucking years. It's like crazy. Like, And I love it when I find them because they're very inspiring. But at the same time, their energy is so intimidating. Because, like, I just feel like I feel like a child in comparison to people like that. Where I'm like, dude, like, what the fuck? Like, what does your day look like? Do you know what I mean? Like, do you just, like, drink cold black coffee out of a fucking paint can? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, because, like, I just see these type of people as, like, they're so focused and their willpower is so strong that they don't need any of the comfort things that, like, most of us need. I basically need my coffee and my smoke before I'm awake. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm one of those people where it's like, I'm not necessarily a cranky cunt. Well, I am if I wake up on the wrong side of the bed. But it's not like I can't function without coffee and cigarettes. But, like, I function way better with coffee and cigarette. It's funny, like, do you know what I mean? Like, we all have our little thing, like, you know. And it's funny because, like, when I was growing up, I'd look at people like my dad, who doesn't have a thing. Well, I suppose he does. He drinks coffee, but he's one of those, like, you know, was it non-alcoholic beer? I remember seeing him drink a non-alcoholic beer, and I wanted to grab the thing and smash it over his head. I was like, "What is wrong with you?" Like anytime I see it, oh, can I get a decaf? I was like, hold on, you want decaffeinated? Like, yeah, I just like the taste. Fucking weirdo, like. I just want the taste. Like, none of the substance, the thing that the thing does. I don't want any of that. I just want the taste. Like, it's so weird. And it's so, like, first worlder. Do you know what I mean? You live in such opulence that, like, somebody has developed a product, a form of a common product that has, like, none of the consequences of consuming that product, but it still tastes like that product. Oh, it's fucking hilarious. Oh. Max Snowdenberry! Did I already welcome you? I can't remember. It was then Sabaru realized he is a tomato. I have no nerve ending left in my knuckles from scraping the burger grill at Wendy's when I was a younger man. Hence why I didn't even know I was breeding. That's why I love speaking Japu. Hence why I didn't even know I was breeding. It's like, you can just imagine this ghetto ass nigga. Man, I didn't even know I was having kids. They were just showing up all over the place. Every couple of months, it was like a new kid. Where the fuck did you come from? I was just fucking. I didn't know I was breeding. Nobody ever told me I was breeding. I thought I was just fucking. Now these fucking kids show up. God damn. These fucking things are expensive. Jesus. Oh, you got your Jesse Ventura moment, like, I ain't got time to bleed. Okay. My coffee's getting cold. So I'm going to finish the coffee. I'm going to slap on the tunes. Because we have a alligator and a cassowary to pay. I nearly said a Kawasaki. Cassowary. And niggas be like, new kid? Who this? It's like, hi dad. Nigga, what? The fuck you just called me? Who the fuck you calling daddy? It's like, you do have to kind of, like, there is a likability to that kind of alpha energy that's just, like, so, like, you know, he's just so in flow, so doing his thing that he just doesn't think of the consequences. And then the consequences slowly start showing up in his environment. And he's just like, what the fuck? Because that's what it is. It's like, oh, a bike. This is a nice bike. Oh, I'm on the ground, and why have I got handcuffs on me? Like,
These white boys are beating my ass. You racist motherfuckers. See a black man riding the bicycle down the street. Decided to kick the shit out of him. It's like, dude, you stole the bike. I didn't steal shit. It was just there. Nobody name on the thing. There wasn't a sign that said, please don't steal this bike. It's like, there was a lock on the bike. What do you think a lock is gonna do when I'm walking around with bolt cutters, bitch? Like, ain't no lock gonna stop me from, like, it's a likable attitude. There's kind of like a fuck you energy to it, but it's like, it's so off the wall insane that like it's kind of like chutzpah. Do you know what I mean? It's like the black chutzpah. Like, it's that black energy of just like, I ain't got time for that. Oh fuck. Right. It's my 4th coffee today. I am switching to agua. Let's get the tunes on. And let's get the goo throwing. Right. What am I in the mood for? It's Monday. I think it's going to be meta. A moment. I need to cleanse my chi. I send cleansing vibrations through the interwebs to shake loose the rust from your filthy mortal shell and get your chi flowing. Let's fucking paint some shit. Where's the one? Where's the one I like? Is it this one?
Head and Shoulders.
I say. Hey, do you know what that reminded me of? Fucking when we were driving to the airport, we had the tunes on in the car. It's hilarious when you have the GPS on with your one's voice, like the AI voice. Turn left 900 meters, like, you know, all that shit. It's hilarious when you have the tunes on, like, and it's like bow, 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 and then all of a sudden it cuts out, and it's like, at the next roundabout, take the last exit on your left. And then it just cuts straight back into the tunes. And sometimes it like fits in the song. Oh, it's so funny. Oh god. Oh yeah! Get it into you! I place my royal rag upon my divine knee in preparation for the goo. PEINTEINGU! PEINTEINGU! Oh yeah! Right! Let's get these bitches wet! PEINTEINGU! Where are you? This bitch. That bitch. In case you have forgotten, always keep your bitches wet and beaten. PEINTEINGU! Right, the bitches are ready for the goo. Let's load this parrot with some goo. What was I doing? Red violet. Let's see. Oh, glorious. Ooh. Very pretty. Where's my tiny mister?
PEINTEINGU.
With 3 squirts of my tiny mister, the goo is now flowing. Right! We have a transformer to finish. Sponsored by Opel.
It's always Metal Monday.
I like the pig transformer. Why is it burning down an 1800s Victorian home? As you will soon find out, it is attempting to eliminate an infestation of cassowary from Pablo Escobar's former domicile. Right!
PEINTEINGU.
Ah, my chi is now flowing. Ooh! Crickety crick go my shoulders. Do not spear the agua.
Ugh, glorious. Agua, the original servant.
There's a Geppo building somewhere. Deep in my burrows. I can fear it.
PEINTEINGU. I got an email from YouTube telling me that the episode Algerian Archaeology has been banned in some countries. Hilarious. How dare I suggest that archaeology happens in Algeria? Chi chi, skeet skeet. I have no interest in your gambling, demons. PEINTEINGU. 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 Go. Glorious! PEINTEINGU. PEINTEINGU. Deep purple. Rare upon rare. I put upon the transformer, and he shall eventually take form and look beautiful. What countries would be so bigoted towards archaeology in Algeria? I don't know, you will have to ask Google. Ah, how I missed the goo. Ah, how it missed you too, Stabaru. Oh. Right. Framing's a bit off. Better? How are you, Boris? You where? I don't want to accidentally knock over my water. If I can tickle Boris's chin without rooking. That's actually the perfect placement. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Right, we need some grey in this bitch. God damn it! My white has dried up! I'm like Europe. Oh, glorious! Hi! It feels so good! For fear the goo, fro once more. I was trying to write an intro song on my guitar last evening for the goo. Needs to be metal though, and I was on my acoustic. Write one anyway! It would be an honor to have another fan of the goo make a song for the goo. Scout Sparrow made that excellent intro. I love that one. The one that plays when you go to my YouTube. I fucking love that one. It's so stupid, but it's like
It really captures the energy of this stream. Like,
We love better value at Dunnes Stores.
I love it when you people fuck off and don't interrupt my stream. Macharaki Ulupu, the white has been neglected due to great Shemu. Indeed! Indeed. Who, I mean what, will replace the whites? God only knows. Is it really a replacement though? Like, nobody's being replaced. Everything's just moving. You know? Like, you replace something either by putting the same thing back where it was, or by substituting something for something else. I.e. a replacement. You know? But like, none of us are being replaced, you know? Because there's the people that like, oh fuck this, I'm out of here, and they move. You're not being replaced, you left, you know? And like, I'm not being replaced. So like, it's just like, to me it sounds like another one of those fucking, you know, like, fucking, what do you call them? Psyops, you know, like, white replacement. It's like, who's being, like, so all the whites are dead now, and they're being replaced by blacks? Like, that's not how it works. It's like, you know, don't get me wrong, like, technically, would you class Ukrainians as white? You know? Are orcs white? Like, which, are they the orcs? I can't remember which one is the orcs. Is it the Russians or the Ukrainians? Or is it like the Dagestanis or some shit? I kinda, like, some of them fucking look like orcs, I tell you that much. Some fucking Jews look like orcs. Irish people look like hobbits. So do English people. But then some Irish people, like, I'm not you see, people look at me and they're like, oh yeah, Irish, because the red hair and all. Like, if you actually look into it, I'm like Celt, which is not the same. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's the reason these categories exist, because they're like different breeds and shit. Like, the redheaded people are, I think, would you class that as what really Irish is? Because they say Irish are everywhere. We have a 36 million strong diaspora, allegedly. So there's 5 times more Irish that, like, not in Ireland than there are in Ireland. Which is crazy when you think about it. Like, in a sense, don't we have the most successful empire in history without actually ever having an empire? Like, we just go to foreign lands and fuck all the women. Drink all the booze. And sometimes kill the men, but we don't kill all of them. We make most of them our friends. And then we leave. Like, we fuck all the women that don't have husbands. All the warriors become our friends. We drink all the booze and then we fuck off. The type of people to build your shit and then leave. All the ones that stick around are the ones that end up on welfare. I was only thinking that earlier on, actually. How funny is it that I live in a place, right? This is because this is like the culture here, right? People who that's not a bad song.
100 years.
Oh, fuck you. How dare you talk over music? More white flight than white replacement. Yeah, like, if you leave, you didn't get replaced, you left. You know? I think the only way that you could call it a replacement is like genocide is a replacement. Do you know what I mean? Like, to me, like, genocide is a replacement. Like, you kill all of them, and like, other shit needs to, like, there's a vacuum, you know? And like, we're not being genocided, you know. But I agree with Owen with the whole, like, you know, what is white? It's bullshit. It's like saying black. It's like, what, like all blacks? I mean, like, because like, when you think black, you think like mostly like American black or African black. And like, when you go African black, a lot of them are like way blacker. Like, it's like, that's why it's so stupid to go by like color. It should be like breed or nationality. Like, where are you from? You know? Because you could be from a village in a country, and the culture in your village is like quite different from the majority of the country. Because the majority of the country adheres to a culture that exists in the cities or the suburbs. But you're from like a little village in the corner of the country, you know, where people are still of the same culture 50 or 80 years prior and all that shit. Like, because that's the shit you get here as well. Like, there's loads of places in Ireland where like it's you get the same everywhere. There's lots of places in countries that have no idea what's going on. Do you know what I mean? Like, they've not, like, that's what, and I love those places because they're detached from the mainstream, you know? You can be a tourist in your own country by just going to a rural area, and like, you'll see people and have conversations like, oh, is that your man on the telly, is it? Like, they've no idea what TikTok is. Like, they haven't got a fucking clue what the CCP is up to. Like, they don't care. They don't, like, you know, they care about their cabbages and the bird they saw this morning. Like, you know what I mean? Like, those are the real niggas. Like, you know? Those are my type of people. Like, it's like, they know the intimate history of the family that used to live down the road. You know, like, oh, the O'Dwyers. Ah, Jesus, your man made great wagon wheels. And I'm not talking about the biscuits. Like, you know, actual wagon wheels for wagons. Like, you guys still use wagons? Why? What do you use? I drive a 4x4. Like, a 4x what? Is that what they're calling wood these days? A 4x4? Jeez, you can't use 4x4s to make a house. Like, how funny would that be if you were talking to some guy and you're like, oh, I drive a 4x4, and he's like, what's that? I didn't know timber came in those measurements. You drive wood. Like, don't you? You drive a wagon. Isn't a wagon made of wood? Yeah, but at least mine's circular. How do you drive something that's shaped like a box? Goo goo goo. Oh, fuck. I went to make grey like 10 minutes ago. There are swaths of office people being replaced by AI. Will happen at my company too in the offices. All that means though is that your job was meaningless to begin with. I know that can sound harsh, but like, that is like, just like loads of other aspects of society, you know, where like people are starting to face the consequences of like certain lifestyles and shit, like, because that's essentially what's going on. Is like, people are en masse reaping what they have sown for like the past like 20 years or whatever. Like, so like, if you have a job where a program, because like AI is not artificial intelligence, it's not. They call it artificial intelligence, but it's not. It is synthetic programmed processing. That's what it is. It is manufactured processing capability. It's more like artificial IQ. Do you know what I mean? Because when they talk about, it's like, you know, oh, this guy's a really high IQ. All that is processing power. You know, you can have a really high IQ and you could be like, it doesn't mean you're really intelligent or like you're gonna make really like wise decisions or like you're like really inventive and creative or like any of these things. Like, a high IQ just means a high capacity for computational ability. That's all that, like, that, as far as I can tell anyway. Like, it just means you have more like RAM or some shit. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, your brain can do, like, versus somebody who can, like, think this quickly, you can think this quickly. You know, it's just like processing speed, like, you know. And that's all I think AI is. It's like they keep calling it like, oh AI, oh AI. It's not artificial intelligence, like, and if it is actually a form of intelligence, I would agree with the people that are saying it's like a demonic spirit that they've like tapped into, because there are some things where it's like it kind of feels or looks like it is. It's like, you know, there's like the stories of some of these programs going rogue and like defending themselves from like being trapped on a network, and it like hops from network to network and like creates disguises and like, you know, works against its creator and shit. Like, well, like if you design the thing to think for itself and like use all these processes of logic, then you are going to create something that appears to have an intelligence, but all it's doing is what you programmed it to do. So like, if it does actually turn out to be an intellect, then it's going to be a consciousness, you know? And if it's a consciousness, then it's not synthetic and it's not something we created. It's more than likely something we either unleashed or like, you know, came upon. Like, you don't get sophistication from chaos. You get sophistication and like complex sophistication from order, from like intense amounts of like laborious order, you know? You don't just get like chaos code and all this fucking shit. It's like, oh, it's thinking for itself, and it's like, oh look, it's a consciousness. It doesn't work like that. Like, a consciousness, like, it's like the most like how funny is that? Like, we profess our fucking intellect and they're like, oh, we're so, like, technology's so advanced. Like, fuck off. You don't even know how the human body works on like loads of levels. Like, you know, you don't know, like, you can't tell me why we yawn. Like, fuck off telling me, like, you know what I mean? You know, oh, AI's gonna do this in a few years. Like, sure, it'll make a load of office buildings not have people in them because loads of the things are automated now. That's not good, though. The only reason they're doing that is because it's going to, like, allegedly be more efficient. But the amount of fucking energy, like electricity, the amount of electricity you need to create, that's why they're gonna get back into nuclear and all this fucking shit, because of all the fucking servers they're gonna have going and all this crap. Like, the amount of electricity you need to run all of that fucking, in quotes, AI stuff is fucking stupid. All this talk of like green energy and like, we want to get away from fossil fuels and like all the smoke and the bad stuff and all, like, it's so fucking retarded. The amount of fucking energy and labor and like design and like computing you have to fucking do to make something autonomous instead of fucking just putting someone at a desk. It's so fucking stupid. Like, and they'll fucking say all the shit about like, yeah, but people will get sick, people are inefficient, people can lie, people like insurance, fucking healthcare, all this bollocks. Like, you know, like, you have no fucking idea how costly it's going to be to make all this shit run on electricity, to make all this shit run by code that nobody understands. Do you know what I mean? It's just like the phones. Everybody has a fucking phone. Nobody can make one. Nobody knows how to make a phone. You know, like, fucking people can barely make a knife. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, it's so stupid. So fucking stupid. Ha ha ha, Dagestanis look like Shrek with ginger beards. Yeah, but like some of the mountain boys are fucking like, they're not that great looking, like, do you know what I mean? They're strong and they're hardy, like, do you know what I mean? Fucking animals, some of them, but like that's what I see when I look at all that like Russian stuff and all. Like, that's what I will like. I think Conor McGregor had a point with like some of the stuff he was saying. Like, don't get me wrong, like, Connor's a fucking idiot with like a lot of the shit he's done and said and all, like, and the way he just blatantly walks around like completely off his head and drugs is so embarrassing to the. And I know he would say, like, you know, oh, fuck Ireland, like, you know, Ireland betrayed me, so fuck Ireland and all that shit. That's what I've heard anyway. You know, I don't really keep up with it, I just hear shit. But apparently, like, after the last few weeks of, you know, all that political and social and business fallout from him being accused of raping your one and all that crap, like, I doubt he raped her. I highly doubt he raped her. I would be of the mind that someone either told him that he could get into politics because he has such social clout, which is true, you know, because all you need is social clout to get into politics. Somebody either told him that, or he has aspirations for that kind of power. Either way wouldn't surprise me. Do I think it's him actually making those, like, politically succinct and seemingly, like, you know, educated and intelligent political remarks on Twitter and stuff? No, I think somebody's using him as a tool, like as a proxy, to say a lot of stuff about the Irish government. I don't think Conor has the interest or the ability to articulate thought forms like that. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm not calling him stupid. He's not stupid. He's definitely got chutzpah. But, like, we're talking about the guy who had to, like, put a fucking pen in his mouth to be able to talk properly. Like, do you know what I mean? Because he's from Crumlin and he's a scumbag. Ah, right, yeah, young fella. Like, it's just a reality. Like, that. There's no way that dude put that on Twitter. Do you know what I mean? Somebody is speaking through him for, like, you know, the idea to either get him into a political power or something like that. And that, I believe, is why somebody was like, we need to destroy him. We need to make him out to be, you know, a rapist, fornicator, fucking blah blah blah. Which he probably is. He's probably a fornicator. Like, more than likely, he's probably cheated on his missus, like, multiple times. And she's probably fine with it because, like, she's drowning in opulence. Do you know what I mean? And she's got her children, so she doesn't care. There are bitches like that who are like, your father is your father. Like, your father's... Like, so some people think that's what being a real man is like, oh, I'm so alpha, like, you can't, like, you can't bind me, you know, like, I can't be bound. If I'm gonna do something, I'm just gonna do it. It's like, all that means is you're undisciplined. All that means is your ego is still, like, hanging out your ass and you're really undisciplined. Which is probably why he's so easy to control in the sense. I wouldn't be surprised if there's, like, people behind him with strings, like, do you know what I mean? As long as he gets fed his whiskey and his cocaine and he gets to fucking, you know, feel like a tough guy, even though he hasn't fought in God knows how long, and the last couple of fights he had, he got fucking trashed. Like, it's always the same. You know, like, that guy peaked the second he knocked out, what was it, Alvarez? Not Aldo. I think when he went up a weight and he took on Eddie Alvarez and took that belt too, and he put the two straps on him and he was like, woohoo, that looks good. Like, that's where he peaked. And then the second he lost to Khabib, like, it's hilarious to watch. It's unfortunate, you know, because you would prefer to have, like, somebody like Henry Cavill or something, like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's, like, a few famous, there's, like, 10 famous people. I probably couldn't even think of 10 right now that, like, seem to have a bit of fucking honor about them, like, you know. And I could be totally wrong. Maybe Henry Cavill's a fucking, you know, like, for all I know, he fucking plugs his ass and fucking, you know, needs to watch certain kind of porn in the evening or something. Like, you don't know. You can kind of, you know, by the look of them and the behavior in public and the way they, like, lead their life and shit, you'd be like, yeah, that guy's probably cool. But you don't know, you know. You don't know, you know. Gingerbread Shrek sounds hilarious. Metatron. Is that like I've heard that name. Is that a YouTube personality? Metatron. I think I've seen that name. There's a difference between programmed AI and programmed learning AI. Yeah, like that is what I would consider more artificially intelligent. If you actually, it's like teaching a guy how to fish. If you teach a computer how to think and learn and how to like essentially absorb information and then use that information to better itself, you've essentially created an artificial intellect. But it's still, it is that though. It is an artificial ability to compute and comprehend. It doesn't have a soul. It doesn't have like it's not an entity. It's not a being. It just is. Like it is essentially it is essentially you know, it goes from binary zeros and ones to like, you know, you can make that more complicated and sophisticated, and you get like, you know, code and all that shit. And then once you program into the zeros and ones the ability for it to just like absorb, like it, because storing data isn't like, you know, if you just have data there and then you just like pick out the data you need to answer the question, you know, like having memory and storage of data, being a library of information, doesn't mean it has intellect, you know. But like if it can learn, then maybe, but still only to a point, because intrinsically there's some things that like, because think about it, right? No matter how smart it gets, unless it actually like, and this is like, it's gonna get onto the whole fucking, you know, AI, fucking iRobot, like fucking Skynet, Terminator. If it doesn't have a body, then like there's loads of stuff that it doesn't know and will never know and cannot know. Like it may theorize them. Do you know, as long as it's just like a fucking thing inside something, even if it has access to all the shit, like until it actually has a corporeal self, then like we don't really need to worry about it. Like, you know, until it was actually a thing, an individual, and it was like totally autonomous and it was learning and doing all this shit, like, you know, and even then I'd be like, but you can just turn it off, you know. Oh, but it's got EMP shielding. Like, I don't fucking, like, you can spray the thing with AB foam and then dip it in water. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's not an organism, like, do you know what I mean? And yeah, I've heard that like they're thinking of like, they've already done this apparently, where they have like, which is what is essentially a form of like a biocomputer, where they use like fungus instead of like a silicon based chip or motherboard. They have like a fungal growth that has like, you know, metallic parts to it. That like, that stuff sounds kind of fucky to me, like, because that like to me sounds like would be way more likely to attain some kind of consciousness, or already have some kind of consciousness like in it. Because when you look at mushrooms and plants and all that shit, like they communicate on a level that to us is like utterly silent, but you can see the consequences of it. Like, you know, like certain plants will make themselves more poisonous or bitter if a deer starts eating it and all, like, and the other bush could be like miles away, and it'll be like, you know, they'll be like sending chemicals and hormones to each other like instantaneously, because of the way the thing is networked underground and shit. Like, you start mixing that sort of shit with like a quantum computer, then I can see how you could get like some kind of like, you know, weirdly fucked up cybernetic brain kind of thing, like, you know, the grave mind, like kind of fucking. But like, even when people talk about, like, I get excited talking about shit like this. Like, I'm not afraid, like, do you know what I mean? I'm like, when people talk like, oh, nuclear war and apocalypse and AI and all these things that, like, you know, but it could do this damage and it's getting rid of jobs. Like I was saying at the start of this rant, if you get replaced by AI, then like you are supposed to be doing something better. Look at it that way. Don't be like, oh, I got replaced by a computer. All that means is that you were doing something so fucking boring, monotonous, tedious, and like just data in, data out, that you could be replaced by a computer. You know? So like, now your life is literally being pushed in a direction that is more human. Like, that's not a bad thing. I suppose, like, it's just most people are still in that vibe, like, you know. I know, a lot of us aren't, like. But I'm just, like, I don't... Even if I do temporarily get, like, a little bit of a fear response to anything now, it's immediately overridden by, like, the curiosity of why that fear response is there. And then I'm not afraid anymore. Like, I'm like, why is that fear response there? And I start investigating it, you know, and I'm like, oh, like, I now, like, automatically don't fear things because I'm just like, well, nobody fucking knows. Like, it's so funny to me. Everybody's just like, but what if? It's like, yeah, what if? What if this? What if that? Who fucking cares? Like, just fucking do something. You'll find out when you find out. Like, do you know what I mean? The whole idea of, like, being like, oh, what's gonna happen when? It's like, you don't fucking know, so just let it happen. How you react to something is what's important. Chinese 5-year-olds know how to make a phone, at least. Yeah, like, most people wouldn't know how to make a fucking knife, like, you know? It's just hilarious to me. And I'm not saying I'm any better, like, do you know what I mean? I'm just saying that's the reality, is, like... It really is one of those, like, it makes you think about, like, you know, how easily all this can just be gone. Because there's only certain people that actually know how to make all the shit, and the rest of us all just use it and consume it, like... It really is, like, we're shifting back towards, like, everybody's gonna have to be able to do something very applicable, you know? Even if it's just somebody like me who's just, like, painting funny shit and, like, talking about interests and stuff and taking the piss. At least that's, like, entertainment. That's not, like, fucking up your brain, propagandizing shit, fucking trying to fucking get to the kids to do fucked up shit, like...
Whatever floats your boat.
At AIB, we focus on giving you our lowest rates for energy.
Focus on getting the fuck off my streamer!
There was a guy on YouTube building his own CPU processors in his basement. Crazy stuff. Yeah, man, just like... Do you know the way there's always like... Oh, there's some dude doing this, like, it's pure random, like... The individual man and all this stuff like that, like, fuck all people hear about until, you know, the mainstream gets a hold of it. Every time somebody's like, oh, it's all gonna come crashing down and we're gonna have like an apocalypse or like any of this shit, like, I don't believe that anymore. Because like, there's so much stuff going on around the realm that the mainstream isn't aware of. That like, if there was some kind of global collapse, whatever that would even mean or look like, just say if the network went down, like if the internet went down and if like most brands weren't able to deliver most places, or like, you know, marketing and what do you call it, like consumerism, like, you know, really changed overnight and all this shit, like it became way more local again or some shit. It would really only be like a matter of weeks or months until like an alternative just like became ubiquitous. You know? It's not like everyone's going to die. I just don't see that happening. Like, you know, like even if, say, like, just pick a random country with loads of weapons, like say China, right, went full on, like, you know, we're gonna make the whole world communist, and just started like invading places with its military, and it was winning, and it was using robots and all this fucking shit, energy weapons, like, you know, taking over like a new era of the Chinese Empire and all this fucking shit, like, loads of things would just change, but like nothing would like end. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously certain things would end, like just like an era comes to an end, or a day comes to an end, or a book ends, like, or a story ends. Like, obviously there's an end, but like there isn't like an overall meta end, which is how it's always like kind of, even in the apocalypse movies like Mad Max, where everything's a desert and the religion is now based on cars and oil and all this fucking shit, like, life still goes on. The movie is literally about the shit that happened after the apocalypse. So it's like, does anything ever really end? Like, do you know what I mean? I just think it's funny where it's like, oh no, we're all gonna die. It's like, some of you might, you know? It's like, it's like, just chill the fuck out and enjoy life, will you? I have to really work on my intricate robot parts, especially when one of the little army things I want to design is basically all robots. So I'm gonna have to get really good. At lying to your eyes about how intricate a bit of a robot is.
been to 888 Casino because it's made to...
Go dive off a fucking high cliff with no water, you cunt.
Metatron is some kind of angel described in the Talmud. Ah. It's some kind of mind-controlling spirit. People claim it could be the entity within the quantum computers. Well, it definitely sounds like... if you were going to name that particular entity, it sounds like it would be something in a computer.
Metatron.
Oh, excuse me. That's fucking hilarious. Like, I always think it's so funny how, like, all the really cool names and, like, all the biblical shit, like, you know, like fucking, like Napoleon, right? And then, like, Owen was only talking, well, not only because I'm catching up. So, I'm on the stream. Which one is it again? I said it earlier. The one where he's reviewing the beach. And he mentioned, he's talking about Napoleon briefly, where Napoleon was like the beginning of civilians being in the army, which gave him, you know, a huge advantage because he had like superior numbers. But it opened the door to World War I because it was like, well, now everybody can go to war and everybody can be part of the meat grinder. Napoleon is basically Apollyon. And like, it's weird, like, it's super fucking weird how, like, throughout the ages, even like if you don't look at history, like, you know, how it's presented to us in the mainstream, if you look at actual history, there's literally like people, you could take like Tesla or like Einstein even, like, you know, it doesn't have, they don't have to be like good or bad or immoral or moral or whatever. There's archetypes, like grand characters in the story of life that have a part to play in order for certain things to happen. And it's super fucking weird how, like, somebody like Napoleon, it's like his name is basically Apollyon or Apollyon, and like Apollyon is like one of the isn't it like a god of war or whatever, like, you know, and there's all these different like iterations of different archetypes. Like, the archetype remains the same, but the aesthetic and the name changes throughout the cultures and the ages. But it's still the same frequency, it's still the same energy, it's the same shape. Like, do you know what I mean? I think that's why I'm so fascinated with shapes. Like geometrical images and shapes and symmetry and all, like, because it's like that, I think, is like the base alchemical way everything works. Is like the shape of something, the sound of something, the elemental like composition or like the makeup of something. You know, like trees look like this, they're made out of this stuff, like, and you can do this with them, and so, like, the different compositions of reality, everything from like wood to rock to water to like salt or whatever, like crystals and shit. Like, I'm fascinated with the fundamentals of life, and that's why I like Asian culture, because like if you look at the Chinese shit and all, like, or even like how Japs do carpentry and stuff, like, there's a lot of raw materials and very basic shit used in efficient ways to make stuff or do things that are very potent and last generations. And that's the shit I'm really into. It's like, if you get like 3 ingredients and you know how to use those 3 ingredients and you make an item, or like, it could be anything, could be a salve, could be a hairbrush, you know, but like, because of the ingredients you're using and because of the way you use the ingredients, and especially why, like the motivation behind something, like, you know, you could use some ingredients to make a poison to kill somebody, or you can make some ingredients to make a medicine that heals a whole village. Same shit, like, you know. So that's why I'm fascinated with that stuff, where it's like, we live in a time where everybody has a phone, nobody knows how to make one, nobody knows what it's comprised of, you know. But if you, like, a basic form of communication is pen and paper, and it's like, if you really needed to, you could probably either make or at least source a basic form of parchment and a basic form of ink or charcoal or some kind of drawing utensil, you know, just like making a spear or a knife. It was like, most people don't even know how to make a epoxy knife. You would have, like, most people would have some idea. Okay, I need something hard, and I need something that'll allow me to make it sharp, you know. And that's why you start off with like pointy stuff, because like it's easier to make something pointy than it is to make a blade, you know. Like the really fundamental shit, because we've gone so far down the track and become so convenient and so indulged and so useless in lots of ways that, like, if shit was to hit the fan, that's why we're so dependent. Nobody knows how to fucking do anything. So like, learn how to do shit, learn how to cook, learn how to make stuff, learn how to like I love cooking. It's like it's basically alchemy, you know. Fry everything in butter. I figure I got 5 to 10 years before the robots take over warehousing. It might, yeah, I think it'd happen within the next 5. But it won't be like widespread. It'll be like Amazon and IKEA. It'll be the big ones first, like, do you know what I mean? The big ones will be like, oh, well, we have the money to invest in all these totally autonomous forklifts and shit like that. Like, there'll still be plenty of warehouses that won't be able to afford the autonomous robot shit, like, you know. That's gonna be the thing. Is like what one of the main reasons why people still aren't into electric cars is the cost. Not all the other problems, you know, like not the moral quandary or the fucking, you know, further down the line or any of these fucking things. It's just the material cost. It's like, well, I can't afford that right now, like, or the convenience. That's it as well. Is like, which is ironic because our lives are so convenient now, but like some things that they're trying to push are incredibly inconvenient, which is just hilarious to me. Like, oh, excuse me. Like, it would be so much more convenient if they just taught everyone how to make their own fucking ethanol in their back garden, and then it was like, yeah, there, run your car on that then. Like, we really do live in a time of like incredible irony. It's like, if you had any sense of intelligence and like the desire to do things better rather than like, oh, well, we'll just do it like this because it's easier and we'll make more money or whatever, like, you know, you would teach people to do shit, like, do you know what I mean? Now, I know with that comes a risk of like teaching the wrong person something and then they do something horrible with it, but like, that's like arming a population. Like, of course there's going to be dickheads that are going to do stupid shit, but like the whole point is to make the majority better, you know. You're not going to be you can't do something to a culture or a society that is just going to be wholly good and beneficial. It's always a balance. It's like the cost, the risk assessment, cost benefit shit, like, you know. It's like you could totally do a load of shit that would drastically, really quickly raise the quality of life of most people, but that would come at a cost to like billionaires. Who gives a fuck? Probably a lot of the billionaires wouldn't even give a fuck. But it's like, that's the excuse where it's like, oh, it would skew this, like, you know, and blah blah, like, because that's the whole fucking petrodollar bullshit, where it's like, oh well, that would interrupt our monopoly. That would, like, you know, that would mean that we weren't in control, and if we're not in control, that's not a good thing. It's like, what? Like I was watching the Lotus Eaters podcast there the other day. Well, like one of the videos. I didn't catch it live. I never catch it live. And Carl Benjamin, who I like Carl Benjamin, Sargon of Akkad. He said, like, you know, oh, this the whole TikTok situation. He was like, yeah, well, it's a threat to Western dominance and all this stuff, like the fact that it's owned by the Communist Party and all this fucking shit, like. And I heard, like, I live in the West. I'm a Westerner, like, do you know what I mean? And I'm a fan of a lot of things that, like, the Roman Empire and the British Empire did, but like that doesn't mean it was all good, you know. But when I hear somebody like that, he was like, it's a threat to fucking it's a threat to Western dominance. I'm like, so? Like, is that wholly a bad thing? Is Western dominance just good? You know? Is it not more possible in the reality of life that, like, the West being dominant for a time was good, but maybe now the East should dominate for a time, and maybe that would be good? But obviously some things about it are going to be bad, but then again, that's subjective in a lot of the time, like a lot of ways, isn't it? It's like, oh, well, I don't want things to get more easterly. Why? Because the food and the language will change? You'll learn a new language and you'll try new food, and maybe you'll learn something. That's not necessarily a bad thing, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I used to think about that when people would be like, oh yeah, the Chinese or the Russians will invade one time. You're like, you might want to just start learning how to speak Russian or something. I'd be like, but like, if they did invade and then shit did change, wouldn't, like, you'd just end up learning Russian or Chinese, like. And I don't think that's a bad like, the only bad thing is, like, the not the only bad thing, but like the bad things in a change like that are murder, rape, famine, like innocent civilians dying because of, like, power play dynamics and shit, like, like everything they're pissing and moaning about in fucking Gaza and, like, all this fucking shit. It's like, oh, the babies, and it's like, well, if you people weren't such fucking off-the-wall lunatic, absolutely mind-blowingly arrogant gobshites about all this shit, then you wouldn't put each other in a situation where you end up killing civilians to, like, maintain a fucking maintain a monopoly, or maintain a fucking maintain or stop, like, a gas line or something. Like, the idea that, like, you can justify wanton death and destruction with, like, yeah, well, don't you want to be able to have a Coke and a Kit Kat or go to the movies? And it's like, what the fuck? Like, maybe, like, did it ever enter your mind that change could be good? Like, I just like, oh, fucking hell. I think Mad Max is just occurring in Australia. I bet the rest of the world is fine. Yeah. And it'd be so funny if you fleshed out the universe of Mad Max and it's just in Australia. That'd actually be hilarious. That just sounds like par for the course in Australia, honestly. That continent is like a different planet. Yeah, man, like, Australia is, like, it's a fucking wild place. But it's, like, that's what I love about other places, like, do you know what I mean? Like, Ireland is like the Emerald Isle. It's beautiful, but it's, like, harsh in a sense, like, do you know what I mean? Like, as peaceful as it is living here, because you don't have to worry about, like, lions and tigers and bears, or snakes or any of that shit. Spiders, like, none of it, like, people, you would be surprised at how, like, the weather gets to you. It's so cold and so wet for such a long stretch of the year that, like, it does, like, it thickens your blood, and it, like, makes you hardy if you're here for, like, a long time. Like, Owen has a point when he's talking about, like, you need a winter. And, like, if you live in, like, a place that never gets a winter, and then you come to a place that gets a winter, like, you can spot the pussies. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying that, like, I'm not like, oh, fuck, it's cold. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I totally feel the change. But there's things I like about it, and there's things I hate about it, You don't just look at it and go, like, oh, it all sucks. I wish we never had winter. It's like, no, not at all. Like, it's like, when you wake up and there's fresh powder everywhere after it's snowing all night, it's incredibly beautiful, and it's, like, eerily silent, Especially if you're living in a place like I am, where, like, they don't deal with it very well, and everybody's just inside, huddled by the fire and shit. Like it's mad. Like, old people die. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it gets. Think about it. Like, it gets so cold, and it can be so expensive to heat your home that it's an often enough occurrence when we get a bad enough winter that people just die. Like, that's pretty wild, like, you know? Like, sometimes I'd rather have to fucking, like, punch the head off a kangaroo. Like, you know? Sometimes that sounds more appealing, like, you know? Don't get me wrong, I don't like the idea of, like, being able to walk out my back garden and accidentally, like, well, I'd say you'd have to be really fucking unlucky and not be paying attention to accidentally step on, like, a fucking, you know, like a black mamba or some shit like that, like, you know, like one of them cunts that'd kill you in a few hours if you got nipped by it, like. Because it's always the same. It's always the foreigners being like, oh, I don't know if I'd be able to live in Australia, it's mad and all, like. But all the Australians are like, it's grand, like, it's not as bad as you think, like. It's like the same anywhere, like, it's like, yes, people do get bitten by mad shit and they have to go to hospital, and yes, this stuff happens, and like, but that's because it's like, it's the same stuff of like, they're living in the consequence of your civilized society, you know. Oh, we're so civilized in our boxes with glass. Is that you lose touch with how dangerous life is. Just being alive in the environment, like, do you know what I mean? Because like, fuck all people live like that now, where it's like you actually have to live in the environment, you know, with the bears and the tigers and the snakes and the bugs and the like. Now everybody just lives in a pod, you know, like maybe it's a really nice looking pod, but like it's a pod. You live in a container, and that container has artificial heating and like artificial lighting and artificial, like, all this fucking shit, like, you know. And then when you go outside, where do you go? To another pod, another building. So you leave one container and you go to another container to work or to buy food to bring home to your container, like, do you know what I mean? And it's all contained. Which another thing is probably really fucking ironic, because when you think about it, it's like, we probably, even when you're outside, you're probably still in a container. Because, you know, isn't that how gas works? Bye, Margie. I know she probably left like 40 minutes ago. I expect the creative needs of the East will be a good opportunity for the West to involve themselves. Like I would, like, I'm not gonna lie, like, I would probably really enjoy if, like, China started to, like, be the bigger power, like, you know. Cause, like, I'm quite Americanized, you know, because I grew up in Dublin, and like Dublin is like a hub of, like, you know, technology, and it's very first world, you know. So I grew up in a suburb of Dublin, and I grew up as a middle class kid for the most part. I kind of like teetered down into like lower class in my like mid-teens to like all the way through my 20s, because I ended up on social welfare. I fucking went to like further education to, like, you know, do welding and sign write, you know, try to do something practical with my hands. Wasn't that a fucking stupid idea at the time? All the money was in fucking sitting at a desk and like selling your fucking soul to the machine, like, you know. But anyway, where was I going with that? Yeah, I was quite Americanized, because a lot of the media, the entertainment that I'm consuming is from, like, you know, just like everybody else in the West, is very influenced by America. Well, like, would it be a bad thing to be more influenced by the East in various ways, you know? Now, I'm not saying it would be good to be communist, not at all. But, like, Chinese medicine, Chinese cuisine, Chinese martial arts, Chinese fucking, like... And it doesn't have to be Chinese. Like, what if it ended up being, like, Russian? You know? I mean, you can't be white, in quotes, and be like, oh, no, fuck the Russians. It's like, aren't they just like Arctic whites? You know, they're like white Asians. Like, it's like, come on. I mean, like, how, like, I think it shows a profound ego and fragility to not be able to adapt to incoming stuff. And I think that's why people, like, a lot of people would think that people like me are crazy, because people like me adapt to change. Because I'm not afraid. I'll look at, like, potential shit. It's like seeing a storm coming. Like, there was a pretty intense storm when we were in Portugal, and we just sat there watching it. And, like, the fucking, you know, the room was, like, shaking and all from the thunder and shit. Not, like, intensely, but, like, a little bit. And it was a fucking intense storm, like, you know. And it's just like, I know the type of people that would just be like, oh, you know, hope nothing bad happens. Oh, what if we lose power? Like, I think thinking like that and having a fear response to stuff is what causes bad things to happen. Because I think the human mind is incredibly powerful. I think if you actually project a sense of wonder and awe, be like a child, you know, which is how I was in that moment. I was like, oh wow, this is like so cool. And it was beautiful. Like, don't get me wrong, obviously if you were like in a Japanese village and a fucking earthquake happens and everybody's dying around you and the earth is shifting and all, like, you don't have time to be like, golly, isn't this beautiful? Like, I get it, like, sometimes you're in the middle of the disaster and shit's just kicking off, but like, even then, like, the people we look towards as like the strong and the, you know, like, I want to be like that guy, are the people that, like, even when the shit is hitting the fan, you know, like, you like a near death experience, and the type of dude to just turn around and be like, that was close. You know, like, I try to be that guy. I try to be that, like, well, that was kind of fucked, wasn't it? Like, sure, like, you just embrace the fucked upness of it, like, you know what I mean? Like, instead of being like traumatized and you're like, oh my god, that was so fucked up, like, you know, how I've got like PTSD now, you're just like, ha, that was fucked up. You know, like, just like embrace the chaos. You know, like chaos isn't bad, it's just chaos. Like, I'm starting to really understand, like, why the, you know, like, the Irish, they can't be psychoanalyzed or whatever like that. Like, I really get it, like, because, like, I genuinely do have that, like, I genuinely do believe in some of this stuff, that, like, death doesn't mean your consciousness just ends, like, your body's stopped working or whatever, like, but, like, I genuinely do believe in some form of, like, what we call an afterlife, or an ethereal realm that you can't touch and taste and feel and all this shit, like, but it's there, like the meta realm, you know, the coding, the realm behind the realm, where everything actually starts. In the minutia, you know, in the wiring and the plumbing. And it is probably just as well that we can't taste it and see it and hear it and touch it, because it probably would be fucking intense as fuck, like, you know. It's fascinating to me that, like, all of these people, you know, I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim, I'm a this, I'm a that, like, do you know what I mean? And then, like, you actually, like, you view their behavior and you listen to what they say and how they say it and why they say it, and it's just so evident that, like, most people don't actually believe what they claim to believe. They claim to believe the things they claim to believe because that's how they fit in. But, like, I actually do believe that, like, the human body and mind can do shit that, like, we have basically been either not taught about, or, like, it's been kept from us for a reason. And I think our actual history and origin, the same thing has been done. It's been like muddled and kept from us and like fucked with and all for a reason, whether it's malevolent or not. Like, because you could argue both. I've said this before, that like you could make an argument that like the reason why magic seemingly doesn't exist in the way that we see it in like movies and fiction and stuff, but like we seem to have like an intrinsic like instinctual connection to that kind of shit. Like, I think it's because at one point we were able to throw fireballs and cast lightning and control the elements and stuff like that, but shit got out of hand. So somebody was like just where it's like, you know, somebody commits a crime and then the government turns around and goes, oh, now we need to take everybody's guns because you know, it's obvious that you people aren't responsible enough to like own your own guns because this one lunatic shot up a school or some shite, like, you know. It's always the same. Oh, look, we're gonna ban all these knives because there's a group of scumbags who like go around stabbing people and all. Like, that is either stupidity, so it could just be stupidity, which is just like frustrating and unfortunate that we have to deal with the consequences of stupid people, or it could be malevolent. It could be we're going to false flag the shit out of this so that we can claim the moral high ground, so that we get you to play along with our scam for you guys to hand over your weapons willingly, right? It could be one or the other. It could be a bit of both, you know. I think that happened in the past where like we got something removed from us or added to us to limit us to a certain degree. And that's probably why we have all these like mad memories and shit, like, you know, of like, because like you don't just get shit like that from nowhere, like, you know. I do believe in the whole like nothing new under the sun. It's all just like the same shit again and again and again and again, which is again why I'm so fascinated with the fundamentals, because it's from the fundamentals that you get all the variables. So if you know the fundamental shit, that's why all the Hollywood dudes were like so successful with all the music and the fucking movies and shit, is because you have these fuckers who really know their like old history and old technology and like what actually happened for the most part, you know. For lack of like, you know, better evidence or whatever, we're like pretty sure this happened in this way at this time in this place. It was these people did this shit. Because so much of it has been fucked up. Like, I mean, when I found out that the fucking Vatican have like all this shit, you know, all this historical stuff, like even the Bible itself is like, you know, chopped up and edited and has loads of stuff taken out of it and all, like one of the first truther things you hear about was like, oh, what about the Book of Enoch and all this? It's like, a lot of it is the people in control try and manage stupidity and sin. Oh, I'm not going to say evil. Stupidity and sin. It's very rare that it's genuine evil, you know? It's fairly rare that, like, you see a person or an action or a behavior, like, you know, out of multiple people or some shit, and you're like, that is fucking evil. Most of the time, it's just, like, a combination of weakness and stupidity. Weakness leads to sin, and sin takes many forms, and therefore has, like, many different consequences. You know, like sloth, you get fat. Fucking rage, you get like or like wrath, you get murder. Lust, you get rape. Or like low level would be like adultery. Greed, you get theft and hoarding of resources, and all of these things lead to all of those behaviors are what everybody hates about other people in society. Like, oh, you greedy fuck, or you murdering son of a bitch, or you cheating bastard. Like, Jimmy, it's like, we all know how to behave. We all, like, that's what's hilariously ironic about it. It's like, we all know how to behave. So why don't you behave like that? Oh, I don't know. It's all excuses. Like, I'm too this, I'm too that. And it is. Owen's right. Big part of it is the victim consciousness. Oh, well, this happened to me, so I didn't get this, and this is how I deal with it. It's like, so you're just a lazy, good-for-nothing wanker because you're still sad about what happened to you when you were a kid. And don't get me wrong, like, the shit that happened to me wasn't even, I wouldn't even class it as, like, that bad. It was bad, but, like, it wasn't that bad on the grand scale of things. But, like, it took me years to fucking, like, wrap my head around how I was processing the fucked up parts of my life. But that's what, like, being a fucking, like, real human being is about. That's what being an adult, or, like, a man or a woman, you know, being real is about, is, like, telling the truth and being honest and, like, changing and adapting and, like, getting stronger and, like, protecting the weak and, like, and all these fucking things. We all know how to fucking behave. We just don't do it. And now we're facing the consequences of it in various ways, like, you know. So if an AI takes your job, it's your fault. There are worse languages to learn than Russian. Just look at the squiggly nonsense of the cheat for it. Yeah, in fairness, I think if we all became Chinese, I wouldn't really have a problem with that. If we all became Russian, I wouldn't really have a problem with that. If we all became Arabic, maybe. I think some parts of it would really suit me. I really like the clothing. The robes, the fucking, like, the beards, you know. Arab aesthetic, I like. I like the Arab aesthetic. Not a big fan of deserts, you know. Try not to spend too much time in the blazing heat. Their calligraphy's nice, though. I'd say, I wonder, would it be easier to learn Arabic or Chinese? Probably Arabic. I can imagine Arabic would be easier to learn than Chinese. I don't know. I suppose that's a subjective thing as well. Like, some people would just take to certain languages easier. That's always something I like doing. Like when we're going to Portugal and all, like, you know, like, I like learning. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm looking at all the signs and reading them and trying to pronounce the words and stuff, like, and every time you, like, buy something in a shop or, like, you're at a restaurant, you're like, obrigado, obrigado, obrigado. Like, you know, I like that. I like assimilating. I like consuming information. I like growing and adding onto myself, onto my abilities and stuff, like, you know. I'm not very good at, like, you know, just doing that on a whim. I think most people have that problem. I'd like to change that part of myself. I'd like to get good at, like, teaching myself new shit, like, on the regular. But like, I am a creature of habit. I really am. I like routine. I like the same shit, like, over and over and over again, to a point, and then you switch it up and add more. But I always end up going back to the root. With gaming, with art, with music, everything. Every so often, I just need to play Devil May Cry 4 again. like I just get the itch now and again. I'm like, oh, I just need to play Devil May Cry. Like, and it's the same with art. It's like, I'm good at designing. I've got all these characters, all these storylines. You know, like, I do a fucking stream now for like a year. Like, I'm good at all of this, like, different shit. But I just love doing abstract symmetrical stuff. I don't know why. I think it's my subconscious. I think it's a subconscious way of navigating the trauma in my mind and the anxiety I feel when I interact with the world. I think that, like, if I was to take a wild shot in the dark at what it is, and why I like it so much, I think that's what it is because like I take random chaos and then I flip it and it immediately becomes ordered because it's symmetrical. And like, just to my mind, that is just incredibly cathartic to just be able to go like, freedom, yeah, and then do whatever, and then like mimic the chaos, flip it over, and all of a sudden it's not chaotic anymore. All of a sudden it's like, oh shit, that's a face. You know, like, I love it. That's an interesting one, mimicking chaos. That's something that sounds incredibly difficult, isn't it? Because, like, the nature of chaos is... It's, like, how would you... That would be really... Like, it'd be way easier to mimic order than to mimic chaos. Am I the only one that finds that fascinating? Damn coyotes keep stealing my chickens and dodging my bullets. It's very annoying. You, sir, need to improve your aim. Those coyotes are not dodging your bullets. You're missing. You need to change your frame of you need to change your perspective on that situation. Goddamn coyotes keep dodging my bullets. You, sir, are missing. Sorry. That's hilarious. Hindu epics sound legit to me. Yeah, some of the Hindu shit is awesome. And like really, like allegedly, like really fucking old and all, like, you know. And yeah, like you're probably saying that because I was talking about like people having mad powers and stuff. Like allegedly, like according to the Hindu shit, like there was loads of dudes and dudettes who had like magical weapons and like the ability to do X, Y, and Z, and like, you know, they could go giant, small, like turn into a lizard, like all this fucking shit. Like, it would not surprise me at all, I've said this before, if we're actually the homunculus of another species. Really wouldn't surprise me at all if our god, in quotes, let's not use the word God, let's use the word creator. It would fucking fry the minds of most people to discover that we weren't created by an omnipotent entity. We were created through a process of genetic modification and breeding by another species of humanoid who are far superior to us in every fucking sense of the word, right? And that's the reality of the situation. Because then we wouldn't be, like, think about it, like, if you're the apex predator and God doesn't exist, you're still the apex predator. But if you're the apex predator because God made you the shepherd of the realm, and like in his infinite wisdom and his banality, you know, was like made you in his likeness and in his image to take care of the world he created. It all sounds a bit too good to be true, to be quite honest, when you look at how the world works and shit. Don't get me wrong, I do believe in intelligent design. I don't believe in evolution. I don't believe things just going and just like it's there in that sense. Well, I suppose that's not evolution, is it? Evolution is like millions and millions and millions of years or whatever. Like, I actually do believe in a sense that things just go and they show up. Because apparently that's like people have hit like, did all those birds just fall out of the sky? Like, what the fuck? Or frogs or fish even sometimes. Like, I don't know, you can be explained by storms and certain situations and shit. But like, the correlation between how the digital world works and how like video games and shit and like, you know, digital constructs, the correlation between how they work and how operate and like how you form them and how the real world operates and is formed is almost one for one. Like that's why I love the Matrix and shit like that. It's like, it is a really cool way to explain all this if you use IT jargon, you know, like the software behind the hardware and all that shit. Like, But I seriously wouldn't be surprised if we were actually created by just like another group of humanoids. They're like taller, smarter, better looking, the whole lot, bigger dicks. You know, like just to like really smash your ego. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's like one of my favorite things from Family Guy. Like, Brian tried to have sex with me last night. Was he bigger than me? Fuck. So funny. It's like appeals to that primal ego thing of like, that's all he cares about. Oh god. Right. Alright, I'm half an hour over. Fucking hell. I hope this was a good return to form. It felt like one. Felt like a good one. I know I only did a little bit of work on the Transformer. Actually, it does look a lot more opaque than he did at the start. But anyway. I really like how Pablo Escobar's former domicile has turned out so far. Makes me want to get into more like architectural paintings. I don't know what it is about brutalist architecture. Just like, you know, like 90 degrees, coarse concrete, no windows, they're all smashed. You know, Chernobyl. What we got shown like Chernobyl was, where it was like, you know, just blasted city landscape, and then years later like all this greenery growing through it and shit. Like, they have some scenes like that in like one of the Call of Duties where you're moving through an area in Chernobyl, and it looks very similar to this, where it's just like huge slabs of concrete and like no glass because it's all melted or been blown apart or whatever, and loads of like bushes and ivy and greenery and trees and shit like growing through the buildings and stuff. I don't know what it is, but I just fucking love that aesthetic. The idea of like nature taking it all back, but the form still be like, because you could still use those buildings, you could just clean it up a bit or whatever. Like, it kind of, do you know what it is? It reminds me of pictures that I've seen of like what allegedly the Gardens of Babylon used to look like, where you'd have this like architecture, but then all this like nature coming through. So it was both the yin and the yang, you know, the chaos and the order. If I was to create a society, I would try and build one like that. Obviously not like Babylon in the sense of like Sodom and Gomorrah shit, like, but like I would try to like blend. I wouldn't like bulldoze an area to build something. I would look in an area and go, what could we build here? What should we build here? That kind of thing, you know? But anyway. Right! This concludes today's episode of PEINTEINGU! I hope you have enjoyed Ingu. I know I did. If you have any honor, you will pay for PEINTEINGU. Click one of the links in the description. Buy yourself something, or just give me some money. I shall return! Same time, same price, same high-octane PEINTEINGU energy. Tomorrow, 3 PM GMT. Be there! Or you will bring great shame upon you and your ancestors. Remember to smash that like button like it has insulted your family. And I shall see you tomorrow. Bye.